Kaori over here with
And Campia.
and we are Team Amasian, and today on this episode of Clue, we are going to talk about the Amanda Knox trial, which has been on a Netflix documentary. I can't speak English, but it's a Netflix documentary as well as been publicized all over the world. It was a huge case in Italy about an American girl who got eventually acquitted of the murder of her roommate, Meredith Kercher. So this show that we do is about all the crime documentaries that we absolutely love and are intrigued by. So follow along and comment below and tell us if you think the person is guilty, not guilty, or what you thought of the documentary. All right, so overall thoughts, and this is a really intriguing one. Amanda Knox, guilty, not guilty.
Oh, shit. Okay, so we're going right into it. So I will say, I don't think she committed the murder, but I do think she was an accessory to the crime.
Okay.
What about you?
It's hard because when I first read it, I thought this is ridiculous. There's no way she's guilty. She has nonstop professed her innocence, but the more you look at it, the more there are just way too many holes for me to feel a definitive side to it. Yeah. So, I mean, if I was on a jury for her trial, it would have been, what is that called? A hung jury.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, think about the timeline, because I think the first trial with her and her boyfriend, Raphael, whom she met in Italy, and they were only dating for like a week before the murder happened. But needless to say, I think the first trial, the plea is guilty, right? Or no, not the plea, but the result is guilty. And then how many years later?
She was in jail for about 4 years.
4 years, and then they have an appeal, and then in the appeal, acquitted?
She was acquitted, and then she went back to the U.S., and then Italy was trying to get her back through the grand jury to make her guilty and have her spend the rest of her life, or 26 years or whatever. I'm forgetting the details. It's been a while since
it's a long, but it's definitely a long timeline when you think about it. I mean, I think it was like 8 years later after the first acquittal that it goes to the Supreme Court in Italy. She's still in the U.S., only to finalize the result, which is they're acquitted of the murder. To this day, we still don't really know who killed Meredith. They suspect it was this guy who hung around the neighborhood.
Rudy, right?
Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy Gede, whatever.
Yes.
I think for me, when I was listening to it, and then they were saying what he ran away as soon as that murder happened, and he kind of knew them. I thought that was him, and I kind of think it leads towards him. But it is just a really weird situation, and she also did not act like a normal person when it happens. She was doing cartwheels, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, she's absolutely innocent. Yeah. And I think for a while I was thinking that too, but just the way they depicted it, you kind of just question it. But I can't really swing one way or the other. It's just completely confusing.
No, I agree. And to your point, it's like there's too many conflicting things, conflicting evidence to. Usually some of these things that we watch, you know definitively, oh yeah, that person's guilty.
Okay,
you know, but this one, it's just odd. Like the boyfriend changes his story during the first trial, which, again, weird.
And she changes her story.
She changes her story. I know the cops were harping on the fact that she just wasn't reacting like how a person would react if somebody you knew got murdered.
And same token, she was explaining to herself that Italian is not her first language. She barely knew it. So a lot of things got lost in translation. Yes. That I understand as well.
Then there's this like weird part, I don't know if you remember, but when she's getting interrogated by the police, I guess she describes it in the Netflix series as they kind of hit her over the head, and she's so scared or panicked that she starts talking about her boss. The guy who runs the bar.
Oh, yeah.
That she was supposed to go to work that night, but then he told her that she didn't have to go to work. But then in her speech to the chief of police, it was like, well, actually, now I remember seeing him on the street in front of the house that night. And it's just like, it just didn't make sense with the overall story. And then for that to come out and then just her to be confused.
Yep.
I just don't believe her. I don't.
And then also, like, there's, like, the sex games coming along.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, she was part of the sex game, and she was a nympho. And the crime scene. A lot of blood. Mm-hmm. A lot of blood and a single knife. It made it look like there was one killer, but I would imagine with that much blood, I just feel like it has to be either someone really strong, or she would have to have had someone play along with her.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know. And now she's back in the U.S. and making books and being part of the Innocent Project. So it's tough because she will forever say her innocence, and I don't not believe her, but I have skepticism. It's just, that's the problem with, the criminal system.
Yeah.
Because they did not, any way you twist it, the Italian police did not do this well. They did not.
No.
They messed around with the evidence. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they try to pin it on her. Mm-hmm. So due to that, like, you can't say she's at fault. You know what I mean?
And the media played it up too. The
messed it up.
Yeah, they totally played it up. Mm-hmm. Some of their stories just weren't even accurate to what was actually going on. So then the Italian, population was just like, oh, she's guilty for sure, because they're seeing these headlines about Amanda, like doing cartwheels during the fucking trial or whatever. And so now everyone else is convinced she did it. But I think the Netflix series is the first time that I actually felt like maybe she's innocent, because I have been following this since the beginning.
Me too, but I was the other way around.
I used to think she was guilty,
really?
For sure, 100%.
See, I was the other way around. I was like, she should not be in jail. This is a really sad story of a roommate being at the wrong time, wrong place. Someone wanted to pin it. Meredith's parents needed someone so they can have some kind of closure in the death of their daughter.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is not right. But then I saw the Netflix documentary and I was like, huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good though, because it kind of speaks to how they actually executed the documentary as well. Because some of these that we watch, like Staircase, again, I always go back to that one, but it's just so obvious who the murderer is. Yeah. And I think in this one, I'm not sure they did the best job they could to cover everything, or maybe Netflix directors and producers, they just didn't have the information that they needed to either allow us to think one way or the other. Yeah, for sure. So, anything else? I mean, boyfriend. Let's talk about the boyfriend.
Raphael. Okay.
Yes.
So they like to portray him as perhaps he might be the co-mastermind behind this, and they decided to have a sex game along the way. I don't think that's credible in the sense that they've known each other for not that long. Mm-hmm. They were not serious about each other. They were just passionately into having sex with each other.
Yeah, they were young
kids,
college kids or whatever. The way they describe him is this is only like the second person he's ever slept with. Mm-hmm. Like he was always like a homebody. Yeah. So the fact that he was even out with a woman on multiple occasions during that week was a surprise to everyone who knows him. Mm-hmm. It's just that part where he's like, actually, I changed my story. Yeah. Don't you find that a little odd?
It was like throwing her under the bus.
Yes. Right. And I'm not sure what made him do that. If there was an interrogation that was just too much for him.
Maybe. It was just his innocence, and he's like, look, this is my life against hers, and I don't care about her that much. Yeah. Apparently they still remain friends.
Yeah, apparently when they got the final acquittal, he was on the phone in the documentary, and she called him first, and they were celebratory together. Yeah. Whether he or not he was actually on the phone, I don't know. But anyway,
I did kind of feel bad for him that he was still in Italy, though.
Yeah.
In some ways, like.
And the way he describes his life now is just like, I'm just trying. Like it's eerie the way he says it, because you're in solitary confinement for 6 months. Yeah. Then you're in prison for 4 years, and then now you're back at home, just trying to remember how to live a normal life. Yeah. And he still gets stopped in the streets, because everyone knows who he is now.
And the judicial system took 4 years of that essential life, hers too. Yeah. So it's crazy. What else?
Meredith, I mean, I think there's really not much to say except it's really an unfortunate situation
horrible.
that's happened to her.
Very sad.
I mean, she was young, she's studying abroad. Like, how exciting is that to go to Italy? You think you've made a friend in Amanda, and, you know, just within a week of being out there.
Yeah. And there's also, like, two sides where, you know, the media, along with when anyone passes, they're only going to say positive things about this person and about this character. But then, you know, there was like, oh, Meredith was a good student, she was a hard worker, she wasn't really into, like, sex, she had a lot of friends.
Right.
But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, in the documentary they were like, well, she wasn't all that.
Right, yeah, and I think that's a good point. I believe that they did not give us enough of who Meredith was to really get that angle of who should we sympathize with in this situation. Not, obviously, any death is horrible, and hers was very gruesome, but just to give us a little bit more personality to the person that, you know, was killed in this whole event, is they didn't do a good enough job there, I don't think.
They didn't. And also, to, like, extend on that point, I think, like we were talking about earlier, the media, and they talk about this in the documentary, kind of messed up, like, her memory. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's, instead of shining a light on the death of a young college student, they shone a light on Amanda Knox, this like foxy, Knoxy, and she's more important. I mean, hell, this video is about her, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so true.
So, and this is like a huge pattern in our lives. Like, we forget about the victim, and we're
so
like,
true. That's such a great point.
So intrigued.
It could have easily been named after Meredith, and this could have been about her.
Yes.
And then
the death
come to the murder, and Amanda's like a secondary character. I think it would have played out way better than what Netflix has on right now.
And now it's just like, Amanda, what's she up to? What's she doing? Is she okay? Is she guilty? I mean, so it's
that's a great point. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have. You know, just excuse us because it's been a while since we watched a lot of these documentaries, but we just want to talk about it and catch up. So tell us what you think. Did she do it? Did she not do it? Raphael, Rudy, Meredith, talk about all these people. Comment below. Let us know. Thumbs up. Subscribe. Tell a friend. And in the meantime, you can follow.
You can follow me at Ann Campy on Twitter and Instagram.
You can follow us at Team Amasian, and you can follow me at Kaorious. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next episode of Clue.